In the last episode of Project Scirocco, it was time to put some gas in the tank and see if she'd start. Well, she didn't start, and I ended up busting a fuel line. Nothing like a gasoline shower. After several weeks of waiting for a replacement line to arrive, I installed it and tried again, only to find yet another fuel line leaking. It was at this point that I decided all the flexible fuel lines needed to be replaced. So I set off to remove the fuel injectors with a lot of effort, and I mean a lot of effort. I successfully removed injectors from number 1 and number 2, then ended up breaking the number 3 injector, leaving half of it remaining in the cylinder head. Needless to say, I was a bit despondent.
Alright, that's it for now.
However,
these little setbacks are sometimes just what we need to take a giant step forward.
So I took the next few days to think about what my next move was gonna be. And then, it came to me.
Ahead.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, welcome. If you're new to this channel, this is the restoration of my 1985 Volkswagen Scirocco. If you've been here before, welcome back. I appreciate it. All the encouragement keeps me going, and I've been at this for about 2 years now. We're going to get there. It just takes a little bit of time, but I do appreciate all of the support along the way. If you're not familiar with the backstory of this project, I've been the only owner of this car for the time that it was driven off the lot back in 1986. Drove it for quite a while, and then it sat for 15 years. So I'm not a trained mechanic. I like to tinker with things. I'm just an average guy who's trying to bring back this car, which means an awful lot to me. As the silly intro kind of spilled, I'm at the point where it's time to remove the cylinder head. I came to that conclusion based on a number of things. Number one, primarily because the number 3 injector broke off inside the head, and the number 4 injector was really going to be difficult to get to. It just made sense to take the cylinder head off to at least extract those two before moving forward. It's also going to give me a little bit of a chance to inspect the camshaft, do a simple valve job, resurface the bottom mating surface, and replace any parts like valve guides or whatever in there that needs to be replaced. So, you know, obviously this is not a full engine rebuild, but it is a start. It'll give me some basic idea of what the engine looks like, if there's been any exhaust leaks or, you know, anything else that's going to pop out. And then number 3, I do have new parts like starter, brake master cylinder, the power steering pump, the water pump, and with all of the clutter out of the way, that's gonna be easier to replace those parts. So just taking it out opens up a lot of opportunities and possibilities to put those parts in with less sort of hassle. And with the cylinder head off and removing the CIS injection, because the ultimate first goal of this was to replace all of the fuel lines, the braided fuel lines, which was the last video, which I kept popping, and they've just degraded over time. With that cylinder head off, it does allow me to get in there and try to do at least the initial degreasing, take off that 100,000 miles worth of oil and grime that's been caked on there. So, you know, we'll probably take that off, and maybe on another episode, get the pressure washer out there, spray some degreaser on it, and try to get her cleaned up a little bit. A clean engine bay is always better to work in than something that's really dirty and greasy. Quick disclaimer before I start, I am not a trained mechanic. I'm sure there are ways to do this that are more efficient, that make more sense. This video is just showing you how I went about it, the steps that I took. So before you get out there and start trolling me, this is just the way I did it. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it as well.
Okay, so my basic approach was to remove the radiator and fan assembly, remove the alternator, remove the fuel metering assembly, remove the coolant flanges and sensors, remove the timing and accessory belts, remove the exhaust manifold to the downpipe, and then finally remove the cylinder head bolts. Alright, so when you take this thing out, there will be coolant that will splash all over the place.
What?
Be aware of that, and you're going to find that unless you've got your catch bucket in the right place, you will make a little bit of a mess, but again, it's only coolant.
Ew.
Alright, so let's see, we got the alternator out. Wasn't too bad. Thought it was going to be wedged in there a little bit more than it was. But it is out. You can see this grimy air conditioning unit. And I don't know whether I just want to take that out and run it without. You can see here, if I can get this light set up, that the compressor hose has actually sheared off. So this thing has lost its Freon years and years ago. So there's really no worries in taking that apart for now. Why is that a different size? Fucking hell. All right, so let's see. I think I've got all of the fuel injection lines undone from the four cylinders, from the fifth one, from the pressure deal here in the front. I've got them all labeled. Hopefully the labels make it. And next thing I want to do is take this whole fuel metering device off.
Are you serious?
I've already, as you just saw, undone the attachment to the fuel filter. I need to get in here, get some light. Need to get in here and go remove this one, which I think is the, I forget what it's called. It's the special hose that I just bought. That was like 200 bucks. And I believe this one is a return line. And I think once those two are gone, then the whole thing should lift off. So let's see. Lambda sensor, I think that's what that is. Yeah, so this one I think comes to what they call the lambda sensor.
Lambda? Yeah.
Okay, so I took this line off, and now there's this nut sort of thing. I have no idea, I've never seen one of those before. I suppose it's a 17 millimeter. I'll crank on it and see what happens.
That's what she said.
There it goes. Nothing else works. Apply brute force. All right, there's number 5. Let's find number 1. Okay. All right. Now the only one that's left is number frickin' 4, which is hard to get to. So number 4 is going to get nuked. And after some frickin' bit of work, I present to my viewing audience one fuel metering system.
What have you done?
Alright, so we took the belts off from water pump and all the accessories. Got the crank turned so that the timing mark or the position mark is at the head, top of the valve cover, or right at the top of the cylinder head, so that we know we're at top dead center.
Top dead center.
And if you take a look in cylinder 1, I don't know if that's going to show up, but you can actually see the top of the piston in number 1 right there. So this bracket is loose right here. There, took the other one off. There's another nut down there. Not sure if there's another couple screws holding this on, but the big deal I was worried about was how we were going to get the clamp of the exhaust to the downpipe. We basically raised the car up on the quick jack switch. It's not raised right now, but boy, did it work great. Went down there, sawed it off.
There we go, just like butter.
Volkswagen, das Auto.
And at the point where I need to go in here to each of these 10 head bolts and remove those. And when I went to remove them, it turns out that all I had was the 8mm triple square, which I used on the drive lines, drive shafts, and this car requires a 12mm triple square. You can see on here 12mm triple square, which I didn't have. So a couple calls around town, I was lucky enough that I did find one. Napa, one of the Napa dealers in town actually had one of these. There it is, 12mm triple square, and lo and behold, it does fit. So that is what it needed. And the next thing I need to do is to basically get in here and loosen all of those bolts. Let's see, so the instructions basically say gradually and evenly loosening the cylinder head bolts, beginning with the outer bolts and working towards the center. To install the cylinder head, they give the sequence starting in the middle and working out. So to remove, I'm just going to go ahead and use this simple sequence of starting at the edges and going on a cross pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And get those loosened up, and let's see if this head's gonna pop off. So next thing to do is loosen some bolts.
Here, back way, I don't have to lift it back there.
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Oh, shit. Great.
Oh, those look pretty good.
Yeah, they look really good.
The piston heads had a little bit of carbon on top, and the cylinders were smooth. Overall, it looks pretty good. Removing the intake manifold is as simple as removing the 6 bolts holding it to the rear or back of the cylinder head. Once the bolts are removed, it should lift right off.
There's injector number 3. Here's injector number 4.
See, it gets heated up. Yeah, it gets heated up over time, and all it needs is just a little persuasion.
There it comes.
They never come off easy.
And there it is.
There it is. One exhaust manifold complete with...
One broken stud.
Yep. Which you would have never known why, and you can see how that's been leaking. The exhaust leak would have been enormous. Look at that. You didn't even know it, see?
Nope. Okay, so that was a lot of work. I did drop the head off at a local machine shop. They said it's going to be maybe 2 weeks before they can even take a look at it. So we'll see what that entails. I left the cam tensioner on there. As you saw, there was an exhaust manifold stud that was broken off that needs to be repaired. We'll get them to do a quick valve job, replace any parts that need to be replaced, resurface the bottom of the head, and we'll be good to go from there. So I hope you guys like this content. This project has been ongoing for about 2 years. You know, I hack at it while I have time to do so. I appreciate everybody that stopped by. If you like this and you want to keep supporting me, it helps if you hit the like button. I keep being told that, you know, if you put a comment on there or share the video, it might get it out to a wider audience and get me a little bit more exposure. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.